Life on Earth is a spiritual journey designed to help you dislodge the most embedded beliefs that hold you down. So we're all here to grow, correct? Well, apparently not. Earth has the equivalent of non-player characters who are incapable of growth. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome everybody. We are excited that you're here. It's going to be another awesome day doing some dreams.
So Sandy, I picked what I think are really interesting dreams.
Alrighty, then let's just dive right in. The first dream is from Jack and it's titled Dropping in to Visit Joe Rogan at his house. I was at Joe Rogan's house and he was glad to see me. He was married or engaged to somebody that I used to go to high school with. And there were also some other female friends way back from high school that I had not seen in 50 years. One of them was a teacher I had in middle school, and the one that was with Joe Rogan was a cheerleader in high school that I knew. They all seemed like they were my age now. I had just stopped in to say hi, and we sat around and talked and visited for a bit. And then I said that it was time for me to go. They all thanked me for dropping by, and I hugged each of the women. Before I left, Joe Rogan had his partner fix us a double shot of bourbon with one large ice cube and a large piece of fish on toast or a cracker. He wanted us to eat the fish in one bite and chug the bourbon. I told him I didn't think I could eat the whole thing in one bite, and he said, "Well, of course you can't, because you are under 199 pounds. I tried to eat the fish in one bite, but I had to take 2 bites. I did not drink the bourbon. Then he and I hugged, and I said, "I'll see you soon," and I left. As I was leaving, there was another boy with black hair that seemed like he also stopped by to visit Joe. But I was not introduced, and he didn't say anything to me. It seemed like this was a recreation house for Joe Rogan, not his main house. I was also surprised that this house was in a small town near where I grew up. All righty, Michael, what do you make out of this? There's a lot in this one.
Well, starting right at the end, I was surprised that this home was in a small town near where I grew up. Well, everything in a dream is about you. That's the first rule of dream interpretation. But sometimes the dreams have to kind of rub your nose in it a little bit. And this is how they do it. Like, it's still about you. It's not really about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is one of those funny things. It doesn't matter what I think about Joe Rogan. It's what the dreamer thinks about Joe Rogan. And he likes him. And he does watch him. But he wasn't quite sure, like, why is he in the dream? So I had a channel on it for him. And it's about his elite status. Joe Rogan has an elite status. And so the dream is trying to get the dreamer to elevate his view of himself. You know, it's like if you were at a party and Joe Rogan was at the party, how would you feel about the fact that you were at that party? Now, again, this is a question for the dreamer. And it would be like, that would be the coolest thing. It's still like, wow, I was hanging around Joe Rogan. So that's what it means for the dreamer, elevating himself in some way. Now, Sandy, I'm hoping you're going to ask me lots of questions.
I have lots of questions. Okay, so let's start at the top. So Joe being married or engaged, what's going on with that? And is to someone that he went to high school with.
So that's always good. When you're working on yourself, you're working on your feminine side, we tend to dream of meeting women that we went to high school with or early college days, but it's usually high school. And in the dream, he says, they were all my age now. That's a good thing. Because if they were, say, 20, then it would, and he's 50, I'm making those numbers up, then the dream would say, hey, you still have some developmental work to do on these aspects of you, these aspects that work through feminine traits. And then we have Joe Rogan, which is an aspect that works through masculine traits. And so Joe getting married to this cheerleader friend is really good. And a cheerleader, again, is part of that whole elevation thing. Anybody who's a cheerleader for you is going to make you feel good, going to be encouraging you to be your best. You know, if anything goes flat, it's like, no, I'm there to help you. You know, don't you worry about that. You just keep going, keep being at your best. So that's really what that's about. But getting married then is about uniting masculine and feminine aspects. When I channeled on that, I was told he's very aware of the difference between masculine and feminine and how they play together. Now, don't be thinking men and women, of course, we all know the difference. We all have traits that work through these different energies. Masculine energy is about confidence and belief in yourself and feeling worthy of the space you occupy and many other things in that area. Feminine energy is about caring and nurturing and ability to love. They're very, very different, but there's many traits that work through the different ones. But he's got a good handle on all of that.
Well, that's absolutely awesome. That's really exciting to think that he's understanding the difference between it and how to balance that. That takes a lot of work. The next thing I wanted to ask about is the 50 years. Now, he's not seen them in 50 years, but I always point out numbers because I think they're important.
This is a karmic thing. This is his path for him. So it's a good number because of what he's working on. And then we go back to, we have the cheerleader and all that. Supporting other people in their endeavors is what is helping him move up. So he's moving into the spiritual field. He hasn't quite moved all the way into it. He still works a conventional job, but his dreams of late have been talking about how this is actually helping him, because having to look at people from lots of different angles is what's going to help him elevate himself. So it's like, okay, I'm helping Sandy with this, but I don't just go, oh, Sandy's problem is here. I have to look at all different angles to figure out where's Sandy's problem. So the fact that he is now doing something in a field that is making him look from lots of different angles is what's helping him.
Okay. So next thing that I think is great. So he got to hug everybody and then he's leaving, but Joe's partner fixes him a double shot of bourbon with one large ice cube. Okay. You got to explain the alcohol and the ice cube.
So this is his drink. He likes a double shot of bourbon, but he didn't drink it in the dream. There's another thing that happens with this. He gets a fish on a cracker. Now, I don't like fish, not a big fan of fish. But when I channel on this, they showed me a horrible fish, a disgusting one on the cracker, like one that you're like, there's no way I'm going to eat that. Like it's a catfish. But it's my guide's way of telling me that he has digestive system issues. We talked about that for a while. He does, but it's not a big feature of the dream. So it's okay. Joe talks about him taking the fish in 2 bites and he's not ready for it yet because he's under 199 pounds. So this is about him moving up to the big leagues. He's not there yet. It's going to take him 2 bites rather than, if you're in the big leagues, you can do it one. The numbers are good. The 2 bites, that's about channeling, and channeling is a big part of what he's moving into. It's the same with me and dreams. I'm known for doing dreams, but if I couldn't channel, I wouldn't be able to do the dreams the way I do them. And so it's the same for him. What he's going to work at is going to require him to have a terrific channeling connection. The 199 is really good. It's kind of a kick in the butt when you get the 9s, but we have 2 9s, so that makes it channeling again. So it's saying like, you'll never have to come back to the earth plane if you do what you came here to do this time around. Now, 9 is the number of a light worker, or it's the number of somebody who's on their last necessary earth life. So we don't often know which it is for us when we're here. So it's best to take it as, I really need to work on myself. I need to do all the things that my guides are asking me to do because this is my ticket out of here, let's say. But I don't mean that in a negative way. Most of us come back when we don't need to come back. It's really about the fact that I'm going to achieve everything I came here to achieve and possibly more.
That's incredible. So my only concern is the fish was on toast or a cracker.
Yeah, so I channeled on that and I said, my team said it's not toast. And he goes, yeah, I didn't think it was, but that's what I put down. You were right. Toast wouldn't be a good thing. Toast would be about the end of something. So it's just a mistake in his dream.
Okay, good. And then you still never talked about why a double shot of bourbon, besides the fact that he drinks it. Is it just pointing to something in life? But he doesn't drink it in the dream. So what's going on with that?
Well, it's nice that it is a drink he likes. He doesn't take the drink, so he doesn't have that celebratory thing with Joe. Joe tells him he's not ready to do it and like eat the thing in one bite and all that sort of stuff. So he hasn't quite got to the final state yet, but he's heading into it and it involves channeling.
That's pretty cool. Okay, and then we've got another boy with black hair. So what's going on? And he wasn't introduced.
And this boy, he said, was around 17. So this brings us back to childhood. Now we know that because it says right here, right after this piece, that he was surprised that the home was in the small town near where he grew up. So we know it's about his childhood. There's a point in his life where he decided not being introduced to people is just how it's going to be, and I'm going to accept that. And they want him to knock that on the head. He can't move to this elevated state if he also is carrying this idea that he's not worthy enough to be introduced to people. The dream is trying to fix it by having Joe Rogan in there and then showing the problem right at the end.
So the problem that they're trying to fix is the fact that Joe didn't, in this case, introduce him. So he could be at a party or someplace else, or even at a work meeting, and he doesn't get introduced. And that is an issue that bothers him.
Well, he doesn't see it as an issue anymore because he works in sales and he's overcome that. But he's still carrying around this idea. So a boy in a dream can represent an idea. Men can represent logic and a few other things. And so this is the idea that he parked in his head at the age of the boy in the dream, and they want him to just clear it. You know, he doesn't live that life anymore. He doesn't, in a sense, act like it's true, but he still parked it and he has to get rid of it, get rid of that belief system completely. And he was aware of it once I pointed it out. It seems small and trivial, but often that's what we're going to see in our dreams. They point back to something in childhood. Here it's late in childhood, 17, you would hardly call childhood. But to have in your head that I'm going to be overlooked and I just have to accept that I'm going to be overlooked because that's how life is, I'm not going to be introduced, that would go against the idea of you are the important person in the room. So you can't have both. He has to do something to eliminate that way of thinking.
Wow, that's brilliant. I love this dream. And I love it showing that he is really at an elevated state and he just needs to accept it and move forward with that and take the 2 bites.
Yeah, and he's very excited about it too. He feels like he's at that place, so that's great.
Alrighty, moving on. We are going to start the next dream, which is from Roy. And the title of it is Wad of $10 with 2 small counterfeit bills. Interesting. Alrighty. I'm in a gay bar with a male friend. I go to get us drinks. I'm in line at a small round bar table where a small blonde, short-haired gay woman is serving. I have a wad of $10 that I take out of my front pocket and count it, waiting. I think I'm going to get mugged if I don't hide this money, but I don't. I notice 2 bills, a $20 and a $10 bill that seems a little smaller than my other money. I'm next and I show her the money and she says, no good. I have been turning people away with that type of money all day. I say, hold on, while I ask my friend what he wants to drink. He says, but I don't understand what he's saying. The bartender says, I got it. It's a mixed drink. And I say and nod fine. Did I read that wrong?
No, you read it right. So the confusion is in how it's worded, and I had to get him to clarify this. He has all this money that's regular looking money, and then he sees these 2 smaller bills, a $10 and a $20, and he shows that to the bartender like, what do you think of these? And she says, I can't take that money, but all the other money's okay. So he doesn't have an issue because he's like, yeah, I thought this was bad, right?
Okay.
But
Thank you for explaining that. That was very confusing as I read it.
But that's the crux of the dream, that part. So we have at the start, the dreamer is gay. So even among his own people, he feels he needs to be careful about what he holds valuable. So if he's in a gay bar and he's gay and everybody else around is gay, like there's not going to be any gay bashing, he should feel more comfortable and so on. But here he is in this situation and he doesn't. He still feels like, ooh, I could get mugged. So this is kind of what the dream is telling him to watch, that he's not able to reach a state where he just can relax and feel everything's going to be fine. He's still always on his guard. And then we have the money thing, which I think is really cool. So this is meant to be something of value that's in his wallet, let's say, but he notices it, like this is counterfeit. And so what it symbolized is that he's carrying bogus channeled information or messages from other people because of the 20. It's not a particular person or anything like that, but just that in the field he's in, he works in the spiritual field, he does hear things from other people. And the dream is telling him, you need to be careful that you're not being impacted by information that people channel that's bogus. And he obviously can tell the difference because in the dream, he's holding it up and he's checking with the bartender. And the bartender, because they have a title, is a guide in the dream. So essentially, he's asking a guide in the dream, is this legit? And the bartender says, no, I wouldn't accept that. And that's what I love about this dream. It's so short and it's so punchy. Like, be careful what you're carrying because it has no value to you.
Very, very interesting. I love this. I absolutely love this. This is why we teach channeling. This is why I push people to take our channeling. And the reason why is because I'm big time into empowering people. And if you get channeled advice that's bad and you can channel, you will know it. And I love that. That is amazing. Okay. So he said that his friend, he asked him what he wants to drink, and he says it, but he didn't understand what he was saying. But the bartender said, I got it. So what's going on with that?
So he has a problem with communication at this point, and he's talking about the counterfeit and so on. But the guide is able to say, I know what's being said. Even though you didn't hear it, I pick it up. So your guides are with you all the time. Like you said, they're able to tell you, hey, do this course, don't do this course, avoid this person, or yes, this person's great. Or even better, they can give much more refinement. They can say, do this course for this person, but ignore these pieces. Because these, if you do this piece, it's going to train you out of whatever your natural state and ability of doing a thing is. So it's absolutely terrific. When you can channel, trust your guides, no one else, not even me. That's what I say to everybody in our own classes, because I know that a person's guides are going to agree with what I say. So it's no problem for me to say, hey, don't even listen to me. But get in the habit of questioning everybody, because then you're not going to carry around this bogus information.
Yeah, I find that interesting because we've seen, I mean, even I have had channel readings from people that I trust, and I still check them and I go, okay, I get where they got that from, but it doesn't fit for me. And also, you can also have someone that you have trusted for a long time, and they could have a bad day. We all do. And the advice that they may be giving may not be as strong for you as what it would normally be. What do you think about that, Michael? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Again, it comes back to your guides will tell you when to listen to advice or not listen to advice. And they know your life path. So listen to them, hold them above everybody else. People might be very good at channeling where health issues come from, or past life influences, or whatever it happens to be. Or in my case, channeling about dreams, or channeling about dietary issues and things like that. I know I'm really good at those things. But if somebody asks me to channel about, should I buy this house or should I invest in this stock, I wouldn't have a clue. So I know my limitation, and I know there's no point me asking my guides about these questions because it's not in our wheelhouse. And so I kind of take it that if I'm getting a reading from somebody that I know, I already know the areas that they're good at channeling. And if they stray into another area, then I will check with my guides and go, is this true? But here, this dream is about, this is all bogus. It has no value. And somebody has sold it as having value. So it like, this is a person who's putting messages out there that are no good to this particular dreamer.
That's a good way of saying that. Might be good for someone else,
Oh,
but not for this
no,
dreamer.
no, the guide said, I wouldn't accept this. I would never accept it. People have been trying to pass this off all the time. There are people in this field that shouldn't be in this field. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Oh, that was very good. I like how you clarified that. All right, let's move on because we have another dream from Roy. And this one is feeling pressure to perform. Sounds like we're along the same line here, huh? Okay, let's start. One female friend and I are at the office, at a desk with one of the male leaders. He wants us to promise to sign up 2 people. It's the thing that drives me crazy in this organization, pressuring people to ask their friends and family to do that. I tell him I will call someone, but that is not working for him. He says, give me the number and I'll do it. Then I get angry and tell him, can't I get organized for this? I don't pull stuff out of my butt. I need to create the conversation and ready myself for it. He agrees and walks away. Later, I see a senior manager and she wants me to stay and register 2 people too. Oh my goodness. I feel cornered, just like the old days. How do I get out of this one? Now there is another female leader and Kate, who is sitting at the computer typing out who is doing what. I did an errand and came back to Kate's area and gave her a book that one of them wanted. Then went to get away and hide. Oh, the other leaders go to Kate's cubicle to get an update, and I overheard her say, I want Roy to stay. I am furious. I know I need to either leave or tell her I'm not staying and that I don't want to do it, but I don't. Oh, Michael. Oh,
All right.
sad.
So the dream is like feeling pressure to perform. That's what he calls it. So it is about pressure. But when I channeled on it, they said, Roy, people don't push you over anymore. You're not a pushover. He was in the past. And he's like, yeah, I agree. I am not. So then what is the dream about? And they said, and this was very surprising to me in the beginning, but my guides were telling him that certain people are unable to change. And I'm like, wait a second. Isn't the whole point of being here that we change? I can't believe that they're telling him, hey, don't try work with certain people because they're just never going to change. And so then they clarified it. They said some people are living outside of their body, so they can't change because they're not on the inside where change would come from. And they explained it this way. If somebody is chasing numbers like these people are in this particular office, they're so focused on chasing these numbers that they're outside their body, they're living outside of the body. And because they're outside their body, they're unable to make any change within themselves. And I thought that was really interesting because I never knew that there was such a thing, that people who are doing something like this and living outside their body because they're focused on a goal that isn't theirs. This is how they put it. Like, the goal is a company given goal. It's not a goal in any spiritual sense for the person who is trying to achieve it. So they're given this goal by upper management, let's say, and then the leaders in the company are like, this is what we need to do. And they're focusing on that, which is an external thing completely, and no growth whatsoever. Like, it's quite shocking, but it makes sense when they explain it that way. At least I hope it makes sense.
Okay. I find it interesting that it was always two people he's got to sign up, not one, but two people. So does this have to do with channeling?
Yeah, he's a channel. So you said, yeah, okay. So I didn't explain it well enough.
No, you did not, because I don't understand. What are the signs that someone's living outside of their body? By the way, I just want to bring this in. This reminds me of the movie Soul, where 22 comes to Earth, then goes back and becomes that big black thing.
If you're working on yourself or you have your own personal goals, like here's what I want to do, and you're pursuing those, then you're going to have to do things to achieve those goals. But if you
work on yourself to get there.
Yes, but if you're
Okay.
doing something that is somebody else's goal, it's not even on your radar. It's not going to help you in any way whatsoever. So here it's just like you're taking on the stress of, we need to sign up this number of people and you have to badger everybody around you so that we get this amount of signups. And that is living outside yourself because you're focused on a goal that somebody set externally to you that has no spiritual value to you whatsoever. And as long as you're focused on those goals that are completely external to you, there will be no growth within you.
Well, so let's talk about this a little bit more, because I'm still trying to really pull the thread on this. When you work for a corporation, you end up with goals that, as a manager, and that you have to push down to your employees, that don't always make the most sense. Now, we were never forced to go sign up people that were friends and family. That just wasn't something that we did. But we still had to do things that were like outside of our control. So are you saying that because we lived that way, or we worked that way, that we're living outside of ourselves and we're not growing? Or is this, I don't understand.
So consider your corporate work where
Okay.
you are given a task. Here's what you need to achieve. And you wanted to work in this profession because you love what that company does.
Right.
And it has growth in that path for you because you're like, I'm going to move from engineering into management and I'm going to do all these other things. And I have my own personal goals. And
Yes.
then when the company does ask you to do something that does conflict with your own personal goals, you hated it. You felt
did.
crushed. And you're like, I need to get out of this company because it is not helping me in any way. That's the difference. Your goals that you're achieving for any corporation can be in alignment
Correct.
with your own growth. But in this case, for these people, what the dream was pointing out is some people live so outside themselves, chasing somebody else's goals, that they are no longer growing and they can no longer change. It's quite a different thing. But if you stay in a company that was in alignment and becomes out of alignment, then you can end up in this state too. Or you can just feel crushed and crushed and crushed and crushed until eventually you leave.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, I get it. Because now I'm dissecting this enough that I get it. I had my own personal goals, and I used the stuff that I took on at the company to help build them. So I wanted to become a leader. So I wanted to be able to do presentations. I wanted to do all these things that were leadership type things that I had no idea were going to actually end up helping me in this business that we currently run. But I did that until I could no longer take the things that they wanted me to do because it just, you're right, it went and gets where I wanted to go in life and how I wanted to live my life.
Exactly. So the dream is pointing out to him that using very specific people, these people can't change. And his problem in life is that he's always given people the benefit of the doubt that they are going to change. And so they pick these particular ones as examples of like, not everybody can change because their focus is in the wrong place. And that's what they're going after. And they're never going to be able to do anything else because they are so lost because their focus is so outside of themselves.
Back to the movie Soul, the black things that were in the astroplane, I guess it was, uh, where you see the guy working at the stock market. Got to make a deal. Got to make a deal. Got to make a deal. And then they slowly wake him up, and he realizes he's alive and knocks all the computers off and takes off. Yeah.
Yes. Now, for people who have no idea what you're talking about, it's a Disney movie, but it's a very spiritual movie for Disney, obviously, because it's even with the word soul in the title. But it shows people who are so focused outside of themselves on what the corporation wants them to do that they've forgotten that they are living. So it's a good analogy for people who've seen it recently, but it's kind of an old movie, Sandy.
I know, but look at this. This is very interesting. Out of all the dreams that we have done, I have never seen one that points out that someone cannot change.
I know. I was really shocked. I was like, whoa. I even said to him at the time, let me just make sure I'm talking to my guides.
That is quite an interesting dream, and hopefully for him, it sets him free. Instead of him feeling like he has to help this person, he realizes this is out of my control.
Because he helps people. That's the beauty of what he does. He now helps people in a very strong leadership way. And to know that you can channel and ask, can I actually reach this person, is an important question.
That's a good point. I think that's all we have time for this week, and I hope everybody has a great week. Don't forget to download our dictionary and journal. Have a great week. Bye.